Hello and welcome to our Open SAP course about SAP DataSphere. My name is Klaus Sauer and I work as a Senior Director in Product Management for SAP DataSphere. I'm really excited to guide you through the first few units of this course. So what is the course about and what can you expect? This course is an introduction course to SAP DataSphere. You will learn how to leverage the features and functions of DataSphere, starting with a simple analytical requirement. During the course, we will gradually extend the complexity of the practical example as we add additional tasks and the requirements that come in. You can also use hands-on exercises to get your own experience. So the focus of this course is on data modeling. But we will also touch many other aspects of the solution over the 3 weeks of the course. At the end, you will have a very good understanding on how to use the solution for real use cases to get your job done. So as mentioned, in this 3-week course, we get you introduced in the first week to the system to start with your first data models. We will show you how to extend them as the requirements are changing and getting extended. You also learn how to integrate data from remote sources, how to use the data flow and other data integration features like the data integration monitor. Also how to share data and apply data access controls. In week 2, you learn more about advanced modeling topics, so using the analytic model and the business builder. We also introduce you to the data marketplace and the intelligent lookup functionality. More topics in week 2 include the repository, the data impact and lineage analysis, as well as the new catalog component. We're rounding it off with the command line interface, where you get to know how you can use it and what kind of features and functions are there for you. In week 3, you will learn about administration and configuration topics, but also more options on the data integration side. We will show you also integration into analytics and planning, as well as the sub-BW bridge, and how you can leverage your existing BW system in hybrid deployments. So let's have a look at your task during the course. Your task is simple. You start building the analytics for the best run bikes company. So you have tenants for SAP DataSphere as well as for SAP Analytics Cloud to create your data models, to load and manage the data, as well as building analytical reports on top. The focus of this course is of course on SAP DataSphere. There are different courses available for SAP Analytics Cloud in case you're interested to learn more about that product. So in this unit, you will get an overview of the scenario, the system setup, about your own dedicated space where you actually work with the data. So before we dive into the tasks, you need to get access to a system first. This is mandatory if you want to do the hands-on exercises of this course. So if you do not want to do any hands-on exercises, you can basically skip this task as well. So let me show you this in the browser, how you get there. So in your browser, you navigate to sap.com/datasphere. Then you get to this page. And here you simply click the Experience on SAP DataSphere button. Now a registration form comes up where you basically fill in your details and take it from here. After that, you will get an email to activate your account after successful registration, and your login details to the system will be emailed to you. Then you have a 30-day access to a guided experience trial system. If you already have an existing SAP account, you can also use the button for logging in here on the right-hand side. And then you don't need to fill in the form and just proceed using your existing account. In case you already have access to a guided experience trial system and your system access has expired, you can simply get a new one with the same process. So when you actually log into the system, you get to the home screen. So the main menu on the left provides you direct access to all essential functions of DataSphere. But let me show you that in the system. So in the system, the first thing you find on the left-hand side is the menu bar and the menu entries. So on the bottom, you find more the administrative topics with like space management, where you define and manage the different spaces in the system. So these entries in the menu may differ depending on the authorizations you might have in the system. So I have an administrator right where I can see everything. That's why I also see like the system monitor, where you are actually monitoring the overall system. The content network, the next item here, is where you can deploy business content from SAP, but also from partners. And also we offer sample packages which can be deployed. In the securities area, you can manage your users, so create new users, delete users, assign roles, and also have access to the activities log of the different users. The transport allows you to export models which can be imported then in other DataSphere tenants. The data sharing cockpit is part of the data marketplace and a place for data providers to define their profiles, as well as the data products, licenses, contexts, etc. The system entry brings you to the administration and configuration areas. Above the administration section, you find the different applications. So the applications for data modeling with the data builder, as well as for business modeling for the business builder. The data marketplace in this part of the menu is on the consumption side. So this is where you find the landing page, where you can browse the different data products, manage the licenses you might have acquired, and so on. Data access controls are basically defining row-level security, so giving your users access to certain levels on the data that can be managed and set up with the data access controls. The data integration monitor can be used to monitor your data loads as well as your schedules. And finally here, the connections area that allows you to set up connections, also manage these source system connections of your different spaces. On top of the applications, you find the area for the metadata, and that's where you find the repository as well as our new cataloging solution. In the middle of the home screen, that contains the most recent news and blogs, which you find also on the communities page. I already talked about that. And you also have some click links here in the middle, as well as the recent files are shown here. On the top bar, there's also a few menu items. The first one you see here is the notifications. This is empty, as we haven't done a lot here in this tenant so far, but you will see that during the course, where you find that your deployments, the successful or failed notices, will be shown here in the notification area. You can also give us feedback about the solution, and the next icon here is more towards our support colleagues, where an administrator of the system can create a support user for our colleagues or download a certain log. An important one is the question mark icon here, because this is getting you to the in-app help, where you find some question marks in the area giving you more information about the different sections here. And we also have sometimes a video embedded in the help, which gets you more information about the different features and functions. And we also have a what's new section available here, where you basically get information about the latest and greatest additions we have for the different versions of the system. Since we are on a bi-weekly release cycle, so this will frequently change, so every 2 weeks you will find a new entry in this area here. So let's close the help bar. The next button with this icon here is basically getting you to your profile settings, where you can have the settings about language and those kind of things, and also the sign out button if you want to log out of the system. And last but not least, the most right icon here on top is getting you to the so-called product switch. So we are very tightly integrated with our solution with SAP DataSphere and SAP Analytics Cloud. So that's why we have this kind of embedded application switch in here. And if you click on the analytics side of this, you will get to the connected SAP Analytics Cloud tenant, but we will also show you that later in one of the first exercises. So in SAP DataSphere, everything starts with a space. Spaces are virtual work environments for your artifacts. It means all your data models live in a space, and depending on your access rights to one or multiple spaces, you can access the models or not. Of course, you can also share objects using cross-space sharing, and you will also learn more about that in a later unit. So spaces help you to isolate objects and assign resources like space quota and workload settings and others. Spaces also hold system connections, as well as space-wide time dimension settings or settings for currency conversion. So a system can hold many spaces, for example, one for finance, for sales, or for HR data. Also for project or line of business specific spaces are possible. This really depends on your needs. So each can have different connections, but let's have a look at the system, how to do that. So when you get to the space overview, the different spaces will be shown to you, like in this example here. So let's dig into the details of a particular space and take our OpenSAP example. So when you get into the space management section, on top the first thing you find is more the description and the technical name of the space, if it was deployed or not, and who actually set it up. You can also, if you are an administrator, enable the space quota. So that's basically where you assign disk storage to a particular space, and also the compute part. And let's disable this for this space. And in the next area you find some workload settings you can use with custom and default settings. We're also using here the default settings. Then in the member section you can basically add and remove colleagues you want to have access to this particular space. So I already added a few colleagues here from my area. Then in the database access area you can create database users and create a so-called Open SQL schema, but we will let you know about the Open SQL schema in one of the later units. The connections area, that's where you get to the connections screen. We will also show you those details in one of the later units, where you can basically define or manage your connections to different source systems. The time data section, that's where you create the time dimension. Time dimension is often used for analytics and reporting purposes because you want to have the data structured in years, months, quarters. or weeks, and with this time dimension we generate a generic time dimension, but we will also show you that in one of the next units already. At the bottom here you find the auditing settings, so you can enable or disable audit settings for particular spaces, and then the different audit logs will be recorded for read or change operations depending on your settings. As the course goes on, you might wonder where to find more information outside of the course material. So this link collection here gets you to the sub-community page for DataSphere, where you find more information about getting started, best practices, business content, the BW Bridge, and more. You will also find there the latest blogs about solutions, or can post your own blogs there if you're interested. The online documentation is also very helpful to get more details about specific features and functions. There are also developer tutorials available, as well as the learning journey for SAP DataSphere. So to sum up, now you have a good overview of the course and its structures. I explained the scenario briefly, and during the other units you will expand the tasks. I have shown you how to register to get access to a guided experience trial system, to get really your hands on for the exercises of the course. I also explained what you find on the home screen, what the space management is all about. Finally, I showed you some good resources for information where you find more helpful information during the course. So that's it for Unit 1. Thank you and good luck with the quiz.